Hollywood wanted to make Princess Peach into something the character has never been. We've heard that tale before, right? But Nintendo this time seems to have stepped in and said no. And now with Chris Pratt confirming the rumors I put out earlier this year that the NCU, Nintendo Cinematic Universe, is on the way, well, it makes a lot of sense why they are protecting their dear sweet princess. Here we go. It is probably the biggest scoop that I have ever had. It's akin to announcing that the Marvel Cinematic Universe is on the way, maybe even a year before Iron Man debuts. That would have been a huge career-defining kind of catch. And yet that's where I am right now with the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, something that I have been talking about now since the beginning of this channel. That was, of course, January 1st of this year when the channel began. And right from the beginning, I was talking about how Mario was not going to go straight into a Mario 2 or Mario 3. This was not just a series of Mario films that were underway, but rather this was something much bigger. In fact, I exclusively broke that a Zelda movie was potentially in pre-production. That was later confirmed by Giant Freaking Robot. Let's go now to the receipt for when I talked about the Nintendo Cinematic Universe for the very first time, talking about this coming up. Before we play that clip, though, if you like content like this, continue to click the like button, share, subscribe, and you can stick it to the algorithms. When you click it, we're talking about that notification bell. The Pro Show is 5 to 7 p.m. Thursdays if you want to catch me live. And don't forget that we covet your comments, so drop one down below. All right. We're keeping you ahead of the culture curve. We're explaining entertainment. Let's show you exactly how that happened and when it happened with this clip right now. Here's the other thing I can tell you about Zelda, which I find to be very fascinating. There is a company out there that is vested in the idea of helping develop the NCU that you would not expect. And by that, I mean the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. And this company has an interest in Zelda. The final thing that I can tell you, based on what my source is telling me, is that for right now, the strategy is to release these Nintendo movies and have them exist in their own worlds, i.e., although we might get some cameos from other Nintendo characters in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, it's not going to lead directly into a Zelda film. And, just the same way, vice versa, Zelda, when it comes out, will not have a direct correlation to Mario, although it may have some Easter eggs. However, if all of this is highly successful, and the number that I have been saying, that I have been told is $700 million for Mario, we don't know what the milestone number would be for Zelda, but if these movies are making their milestones, if they're making their achievements at the box office and then beyond, then eventually what they want to do is bring these movies into an NCU style format, just like with the MCU, where the Avengers tie all of this together and you begin seeing crossovers. But to start off with, they want to do these films separately so that they stay unique and exciting to people who love those franchises all by themselves. So there you have it, folks. We've been talking about this for a while, exclusively getting ahead of everybody else on it. That's not to toot our own horn. That's not to brag. That's simply to say that we're being consistent here. And now we have confirmation of the Nintendo Cinematic Universe, finally, 100%. Let's examine this in a breaking news report today on thatparkplace.com, the website that you should definitely be going to. It's our sister website, sister network. Lauren Connor put up an exclusive Star Wars review this morning. You can check it out on That Park Place. But this article is by me. And it says the Nintendo Cinematic Universe is confirmed by Chris Pratt. Let's read it. One of the very biggest exclusive early scoops ever by yours truly has just been confirmed by Mario movie voice actor Chris Pratt. This is a big deal. It really, really is. And by the way, we'll be talking Friday morning about what a big deal this is. I'm trying to get some individuals to come in to talk about that with me to give the gravitas necessary for this topic. We now know why Nintendo has been so careful with how it allows Hollywood to manage its characters in the upcoming Mario movie, as well as why Illumination and Universal have acquiesced. everyone is working very hard to get this right, not alienate fans and kickstart something big off in the right way. As many of you know, I exclusively broke news that the Mario movies, or the Mario Brothers movie, is not just a one-off film or the beginning of a series of Mario sequels. No, it's much larger. It's a much grander plan. Instead, this is the beginning of an attempt to craft a Marvel-sized cinematic universe aimed at multi-generations of fans. And all of it will be under an umbrella of Nintendo characters. The Japanese company is extremely careful, therefore, that the characters be treated with respect and away from controversy. After all, this is the launch of something unparalleled, with a combining of vast video game properties and an attempt to translate it into a complementary movie universe. So where is this going? Well, Chris Pratt has essentially just inadvertently spilled the beans and said the secret out loud. A decades-long Nintendo cinematic universe is on the way. Here's what Chris Pratt had to say in video form. The movie really honors the video game. It honors the world of Mario and is very promising as to what we could expect. Everybody pay attention. What we could expect over the next 10 years, like an entire universe of these types of movies. They're super nostalgic. They're really fun. It's Illumination, so they know what they're doing. Now, the key here is that he's talking about a universe of these types of movies. He's not talking about Mario sequels. He knows that there's a universe of these films all under the Nintendo umbrella that are coming. We've seen reports that Seth Rogen is talking about a Donkey Kong movie now. We know that a Zelda movie is in pre-production, that they're doing the planning work on it. It's likely that a Metroid film will be in the works. All of this coming together, and potentially at the end of that decade, maybe sooner, we could even see a Super Smash Brothers film akin to an Avengers film where all of these characters come together. You could even see characters from outside of Nintendo make cameos. Maybe even Sonic shows up at the end. This is a very big deal. Again, we'll talk about just what a huge thing this is on Friday morning. And that's part of what this channel is all about, is keeping you ahead of the culture curve. By coming here, you find out what exactly is going to happen in entertainment and in our culture before you hear about it anywhere else. That's the goal. And then we explain it. So we've been talking about this since the inception of the channel. As I have said before, both here on That Park Place and on the WDW Pro channel, Disney stepped off the throne as the dominant hand in animation. That's true. They abdicated the throne, folks. Now, other companies are filling that void. Only when it comes to Nintendo, they have an established character roster that can overtake Disney for years and years to come. When Disney vacated the space, they opened the door to a very big problem. That being that Nintendo is probably not going to easily give back the top spot. And I have a feeling that if this first movie does well, and if the second movie, not Mario, by the way, does well, then we could see this for years and years to come. Chris Pratt is not far off. Now, this also is an explanation to us why Nintendo has been so very careful and adamant that the characters in this movie be treated with respect. Particularly, I came out with a report that an insider had told me Princess Peach, during the development of the movie, had been shifted away from the type of character that Nintendo wants Princess Peach to be, the type of character that she has always been. She was, in the storyboards early on, perhaps, more of a girl boss kind of character. She may have been a hero more than Mario in his own movie, and that's not what Nintendo allegedly wanted. And so Nintendo pushed back against the typical stuff that we see out of Hollywood. And in doing so, Nintendo really may have set themselves up, and Hollywood lifted up, into a position where they will have far more revenues over the long term. Now, it's important to note that when they did this, when they took this step of saying, no, Princess Peach is going to have her proper role inside this movie, that they were not being negative or diminishing of the feminine. No, it's the exact opposite. Peach has always been a part of the video games, and ever since Mario 2, and then later on, she's been a playable character who's been able to do many of the same things that Mario does. She has extra abilities, and she's not always a princess that's in distress. She's often a playable character participating in the game, in the story. And so that's not out of character for her to be part of the movie. What was out of character was for Mario to be usurped. At the same time, too, she should not be a character who is less than feminine. She is an archetypal feminine character. She is a princess in the traditional way, in the way that was understood in the 1980s when she was conceived. And so Nintendo did not want Princess Peach to become a character who was different than that. Not in the style of these new Disney movies where they take the idea of the princess and they turn it into something very different. You might think of The Woman King as an example, although that's not a Disney movie. But there are characters in Nintendo's roster who are appropriately part of that tradition, that archetypal character format. And so when we get to a Metroid film, when we have Samus come in, then fair enough, we'll have that type of character and appropriately so. But Princess Peach should not be outside of the predefined character attributes which she has. Now, I want to read to you another message to me from the same insider who sent me information allegedly, and again, this steps into rumor territory, although perhaps I'll be doing the same thing again with this that I've done at the beginning of this video where I show a receipt later on. But let's go ahead and read this message that was sent from an insider, and I fully trust this insider, although I cannot verify or corroborate the information that is inside this message. Here we go. It says, so the Mario movie was determined to need to, and I put this in quotes, girl it up to max out the family box office, although it is believed that boys will be the majority of the repeat viewers. In the not so distant past, it wasn't an issue to girl it up with a single character because it was understood by all where the focus should be for a given project. Sure, add some emphasis on the character or another character to firmly set the movie in family territory where everybody in the family can enjoy it and identify with characters on the screen, and the same is true for TV, that's no problem. But don't lose focus of the main true draws. In this case, it's Mario, Luigi, the key villains, and sure, Princess Peach is a part of it, but not at the same level as the main two protagonists. In the past, this was never a problem. However, it has become one because entertainment is being used as a platform for social change. But that is not what is happening with Nintendo. Although with this Mario movie, you may see some signs, some evidences that this was once the case, it was greatly toned down in pre-production. It's no longer a question of turning up the volume a little on this character or that to widen the appeal of a movie while keeping the project focused on its merchandise selling pillars. That's how it used to be. That was always sort of the mandate under the main mandate of past movies. Sure, mandate number one was entertain, make money. But making money throughout the whole chain was number two. And that's how the bigger money gets made. You make the money from the entertainment that drives your royalty dollars. You need to stick to what makes the intellectual property. Respect the source. That's where the money is. Also realize that, and this is a hard truth, no intellectual property can be everything to everybody. Some properties will skew to girls, some to boys, some to younger audiences, some to older. Various demographics, ethnic backgrounds, even geographical backgrounds can come into play. Some intellectual properties have wider appeal than others, but none that I know of, that being the source, have an evenly sliced demo pie chart. And if you try to force that, the very first thing that will be lost are those secondary revenue streams after people leave the theaters. Anyway, the source continues. All stakeholders now know that adding and turning up the volume a little on the girl component within a primarily masculine-driven merchandising film, that being a family film, is smart business for the movie. No problem there. It's desired. And that was so easy to do in the past. But now it turns into a headache because instead of, let's say, increasing Peach's role and giving her more of the spotlight and having her be a significant part of the story, everything goes completely bonkers because of the activists. And Peach now has to become Rey Skywalker. If that happens, the air gets sucked out of the room on the merchandise side as people are less than excited, less than drawn to the film after they leave. Mario, Luigi, and the key villains suffer as a result. If that is the case with this movie, the movie will be a weak merchandise driver and a poorer start to the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. Luckily, that does not seem to be what has happened. And furthermore, It doesn't seem that if the movie performs poorly as a result, that it would harm Mario the character, since Nintendo would come away seeming to be the company that tried to save everything in the first place. The source says that although there's not a 100% confirmation of what the movie is, that at one point, a major theme of the movie seems to have been female empowerment. And again, in its appropriate place, that's not a problem. But if that escapes its appropriate parameters and becomes the focus of a film about a scrappy little plumber trying to save the Mushroom Kingdom, well, that changes where we're going with the story, and that can definitely impact the overall merchandise. And so, according to this source, this female empowerment part of the movie that had exceeded its appropriate boundaries has been toned down, and hopefully is now in its rightful place. But now we understand, ladies and gentlemen, why it is that Nintendo felt so keen to take a stand, why Nintendo felt it's so important to try to save the Mario movie, to protect Princess Peach. And I really do mean that, to protect her, because we need to protect the feminine characters out there. We don't need to denigrate the feminine characters out there. One of the casualties in entertainment has been that we have taken characters who are very feminine and we have made them less than the female characters who demonstrate masculine traits. And that seems to me to be wrong. There are many different personality traits out there. There are many different types of people. There are many different types of archetypes in stories. And the feminine princess character is a character worth keeping around. And sure, the girl boss, when we get the Metroid movie, that's going to be great. But just as much as I want to see female characters and superheroes and watch female characters doing amazing things in that regard, I don't want to lose sight of the female characters who are princesses and mothers and the ones who demonstrate all those very feminine and maternal characteristics. I don't want to lose those. I would love to see down the road a movie devoted to Peach and perhaps the other princesses of the Mario universe. Wouldn't it be great to see Princess Peach, Princess Daisy, perhaps Rosalina, and maybe even throw Toadette in there? All of that would be very cool. And I would also love to see tons of Princess Peach merchandise on the shelves for little girls. I can just imagine all of the cool stuff that could be made for little girls in that regard. But let's make sure that we keep all these characters in their right places. There's a place for Mario toys on the girl shelves, just like there's a place for Princess Peach on the shelves of boys' toys. But at the same time, keep these characters true to the source material. Respect the archetypes. And remember that there's nothing inherently flawed about either the masculine or the feminine. And we should treat those characters that represent those things with honor and respect, keep them around. They do have things to teach us. They do have fun to give us. And by protecting Princess Peach and who she's been in all of these video games for so long, and avoiding the modern fads and modern movements, Nintendo may have just saved Hollywood. Perhaps they'll be making a ton of money for years and years to come, and all of those theater owners and streaming platforms and theme park owners, they're going to love it. Unless they're the ones who went in the opposite direction and chose not to go along with Nintendo. Folks, if you like content like this, click the like button, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Remember, when you click it, you stick it to those algorithms. We covet your comments. We care about what you think, so drop one down below. And we're getting close to that 10,000 sub mark. When we hit it, we're opening up the memberships, and you're not going to believe some of those amazing rewards we're going to do. They're going to be unique firsts for any channel, I think, out there. You're going to love them. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Make sure to catch The Pro Show Thursdays 5 to 7 Eastern Time. Entertainment Explained, The Culture Curve Conquered, live with Pro and all his friends.